Hi. So now let us see another constraint, that is check constraint actually. So sometimes we are going to use for this one when we are creating a table, or later we can add as a constraint also. Okay. So what is this check constraint? Okay. This is simple. This is very simple as name implies. So you can see here. Uh, it determines whether the value associated with the column is valid or not with the given condition actually. So this is very simple one actually. It controls the value in a particular column. So by putting a check constraint, if that condition is true, then only it will allow to insert the value in under that particular column actually. So it ensures that inserted value in the column must be satisfied with the given condition. Only if condition is true, then only that particular value under that particular column, wherever you mention check constraint, it is going to insert actually. Otherwise it is not going to insert, it is going to raise a error. Okay, so that is what actually this it determines whether the value associated with the column is valid or not, okay, with the given condition. So if you see the syntax of this one, so you can see this is normal uh, uh, creating a table syntax actually. The only thing is here you can observe that against which column you want to add this constraint. So there you can see check of, you are going to write your condition. So under this column, whatever values you are going to insert, those values it is going to check by this condition. If this condition is true, then only it is allowing actually. So manually you no need to check every time whether the valid data you are inserting into database or not. So by making this like this automate, so it will database will take care actually, MySQL will take care. So let us check the same thing with the hands-on. So here this is the table we took actually. So here you can see I'm going to take another column age whose data type is int actually. Now for this we would like to add check constraint. So let us take check, and what is the expression? So this is student table, and age must be greater than 15 for example, or greater than 17, some number whatever. So this age must be greater than 15 for example I given, then comma. Now this is the table we are going to create now. Okay, if I run this one, what is going to happen, let us see. So now I'm going to run this script. So you can see table is created. Now if I see what is going to happen, select store from student. Okay, so now there is no data. Now let us insert. While inserting, let us check that whether it is doing properly or not. Okay, so insert into student table values of. So what are the values? For example, student number 1, and his name is Ravi, and his last name is Kumar, for example. And then let us see the age. So let us give valid age first of all. So 20 I give. Then if I run this command, so it runs successfully. So now if you display the data, you can see one row is inserted accordingly, whatever data we give. Now what we will do is, let us take same thing with the different values. Student number 2, let us take, and his name is something Thomas Hooks something, and age let us give like invalid age actually. So for example, if I am giving 10, what it should say actually, it should not allow actually, because we given the condition that age must be greater than 15 under this particular column. So if I run this script, this particular line especially where condition is not meeting, let us see what database will say. So when I run this one, especially you can see in this row, if you see, check the constraint, student CHK1 actually. So this is what actually is student CHK1 is, because we didn't provide the constraint name, database will automatically give the one name for that particular constraint actually, because like table name, unique entire database actually. Same table name you are not going to have actually, only one name. Same way roll number, same way column names are unique under this table actually. So like that, you can create many constraints throughout your database. So for every constraint, it is, if you don't give name, system is going to allocate the constraint name automatically. That is with the table name check, and this is the constraint one actually. So that is violating, that is very important. So whatever condition you given here, that is not satisfying this input actually. So that is what, as we told, that you no need to monitor, you no need to manually check. Automatically system is going to violate, system is going to take care actually. Okay. For example, if you give 15 also, what is going to happen? You can guess either it is going to allow or not. So even if you give 15 also, it is saying that violated, constraint is violated, because we told greater than. If you give greater than or equal to, then it will allow. So let us check with 16, then whether it is inserting, able to insert or not. So successfully inserted, you can see the data also. So second row is also inserted. Okay. Now let us go further in this discussion actually. So hope, first of all, for what purpose we are using the check constraint. Now what we will do is, we are going to drop this table, student drop table student actually. Now if I run this script, table is dropped. So if you go for the select statement, so it is going to say that does not exist. So you can see student table does not exist. Okay, fine, that is good. Now what we will do is, this constraint we are not adding initial. So now if I run this script, what is going to happen? So you can see table is created now. Now again, if I run this script, yes, done. So constraint is not added when the table is created. This point is very important. For example, if I run this script, one row is inserted. Yes, one row is inserted. And let us take second row also. Second row is also inserted. Now I want to add a constraint. Got the point? Now I want to add a constraint. So you have two rows already in the table. So in the database, you already have two rows. You can observe this part. Okay. So after inserting two rows, after having some data, you want to add a constraint to a table actually. So this is applicable not only for the check constraint, almost for remaining constraints also it will work actually. So after having some data, I'm trying to add a new constraint. Okay. So that means you are changing the table definition, alter table. So which table? Student table. Then what we are adding? Constraint we are adding. Then what is that constraint? On which table you are, on which column you are adding constraint? So that is what I'm adding check constraint on which column actually? Age. So now what I will do is, so here you can observe that under this particular under this column, if you see the data 1620 is there. What I will do is, suppose if I give age must be greater than 18. Is it going to create this constraint on this particular table, on this column or not? Let us check. Because you already have some data and you are adding now the constraint, but the sum of the values under this column not satisfying this constraint actually. So is MySQL allowing this constraint adding now after having some data? Let us check by running this one. So you can see here, check constraint student CHK1 is violating. So this is not created actually. Because if you add this constraint, already existing data not satisfying. So what you have to do with that actually, got the point or not? So that is why when you have already data and if you are adding a new constraint, all the data already existed should satisfy that constraint, so that then only this new constraint it is going to add to this table. So that is why what we will do is, let us give 15 now. Is it going to allow or not? So now if I run this script, so now you see it is created, that constraint is created, and two rows are affected. That means it cross-checked these two values actually, 15, 20. So now you can see data already there, and this new constraint is created. This is very, very important. Okay, so this is sometimes may required after having some data if you want to add a constraint, but you have to take care of existing data also. While you are creating a constraint, you have to um, uh, keep in mind that existing data also should satisfy the creating new constraint. Okay, so this is what overall check constraint, very important. Sometimes we need to use actually to make the automate of investigating the incoming data. So this is what actually the check constraint.